Hey everybody, Dirili here. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Hakuouki Zuisoroku, the fan disc material for the first game, or the extras added to the PS3 version of the game. We're starting on Chikage Kazama's route today, and let's see. Hopefully I'm understanding this correctly. In the guide, it seems like we start on Shinsengumi Adventures 2. The choices we make on part 1 don't matter, it doesn't seem. So we're gonna start there, and we'll be skipping through things until we come up with new material. Okay, here we go. Make the first choice, infiltrate Shimbara. That's right, because he's there. I forgot that. This time we write a note like we did before with Hijikata. This time we send it to Hijikata again. And this time we stay and get information, so we get to spend some time with Kazama. I'd be fine, right? I was dressed completely different and the makeup was heavy. Even the captains had a hard time recognizing me. There was no way that Kazama would figure it out. Right. I'll get someone to bring some now. I called to an apprentice who was waiting outside in the hallway, asking her to bring a small table and sake. When I turned back around, Kazama was looking at me lazily. His eyes narrowed slightly. Uh-oh, you don't recognize me, do you?
You are a geisha, and yet you don't speak with Kurua dialect. Are you from around here?
I'd completely forgotten. Geishas spoke like Kimigiku did earlier. What should I do? I didn't know how to talk like one. We never discussed that bit. You should have. Why didn't you?
What's wrong? You look pale. You prefer not answering that, I assume?
No. Staying silent was just going to appear suspect, and I couldn't afford to let him wonder any longer. I could do this. I just had to remember how Kimigiku spoke and speak the same way. This isn't going to turn out well, is it? I greatly apologize. I have only just arrived, and therefore I am, unused to speaking in this manner. The awkward wording tripped up my tongue. I almost bit it a few times, but I doggedly continued. He does not look like he's buying that.
To be good enough to be called for at the Sumi, you must have been an apprentice at a geisha house since childhood.
What? Really? You're right. I ask your forgiveness. Memory is, fleeting, and my thoughts often escape.
You forgot something you've known for years.
This is entertaining him. Huh? Well, what should I do? Every answer I gave only made the situation worse. There was a smug, superior tilt to his lips as he just sat and gazed at me for several moments. Eventually...
This little play was fun, but I can tell what you're thinking. The Shinsengumi likely ordered you to spy on the warriors meeting here at Shimbara. I doubt I'm wrong.
But do you recognize me? Then you already knew who I was.
You thought I wouldn't recognize you?
If you knew, then why did you wait so long to speak up?
I was enjoying our conversation. We're usually rudely interrupted.
He liked spending time with me. His amused smile reached his eyes. He didn't seem to be lying either. So what are these men planning? Please tell me if you know. Why would he tell me that? He's still the enemy, nothing's changed that. Almost as if she timed it, the sliding door opened and the apprentice silently placed the sake and table she bought inside the room. She bowed respectfully and returned to her position in the hallway.
There's a saying among humans, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. So, pour me sake.
I hardly think pouring sake is worth secrets. He jerked his chin toward the table that was just brought in, his manners imperious. I need information from you first. Please tell me what they're going to do. Tell me or I won't pour your sake for you. No sake unless you tell me.
You are pretending to work as a geisha here, correct? Then, you need to do as your customer commands.
But geisha aren't prostitutes. We don't have to obey a command we don't like, even if it's from a customer. I caught a flicker in his eyes as they briefly widened. I held my breath, expecting him to be angry, but he just smiled.
You do have a point. Interesting. I'm impressed. I never expected to find someone foolish enough to talk back to me like that. I'd hazard a guess that you're the only one who could.
He seemed oddly pleased. A few moments later, his head turned in the direction of the other room, where the men were still being loud and rowdy. Scorn flashed across his features like a storm cloud. Is he going to just tell me because he hates them so much?
They are ruffians and ronin from Satsuma Choshu, Higo, and Tosa. Their incoherent babbling appears to be regarding a plot to attack your headquarters.
Wow, I can't believe he told us so easily.
The Shinsengumi killed many of their comrades at Ikeda, so they formed a foolish idea of revenge. They must wish for their own deaths.
I gulped loudly.
They don't stand a chance. They should have just left that task to the demon clans.
Can we stop them somehow? The look he gave me then was cold.
You've forgotten what I said already. It seems I've done my part. Now it's your turn.
Oh. He was right. Surprisingly, he had offered up information without too much fuss. I had to give him something in return. Yes. Then I'll pour you some sake. I handed him the sake cup and carefully poured some of the alcohol into it. I had to keep my hands from shaking. It was my first time ever serving a man, so I was strangely nervous. Kazama's intense gaze stayed on my face the entire time. Is there anything on my face? Makeup? That's how it was going in my head, but instead... Ooh! Kazama's fingers gently but firmly cupped my chin. Oh my god. His eyes narrowed into slits and locked onto mine. The look he was giving me now was anything but cold. Yes?
I did not make a mistake. My taste was perfect.
Oh yeah, you're a good judge of beauty, apparently.
With your looks, you would be fit to be my wife. Now I want you even more.
He smirked, and it was clear he was satisfied. What? His warm breath ghosted over my face. We were so close. My heart thundered in my chest, and I panicked. I couldn't push him away because I held a bottle of sake in my hands, so I quickly broke our locked gaze and looked away. It was all I could do. I'm not your wife. You have no right to make decisions like that for me.
You should be honored. I'm willingly offering compliments. I don't do that for just anyone. Wearing women's clothing suits you, as I thought.
He couldn't have sounded more arrogant if he tried, but compliments, and such bold ones, were the last thing I ever expected to hear from him. My thoughts were a complete jumble. I wasn't sure why, but I couldn't look him in the eye anymore. Let me go, please. I can't pour sake for you like this. Who cares about the sake? He silently searched my face and must have relented to the desperate tone in my voice because his thin finger slipped from my chin, releasing it. I took a deep breath, hiding a sigh of relief, and steadied my hands enough to serve him another cup. Why did you have to break it, Chizuru? That was lovely. Kazama waited patiently for me to finish, then raised the cup to his lips and gulped the liquid down. I did what you asked. Will you stop them from attacking the Shinsengumi headquarters? Just for pouring sake? Come on, I think you're valuing your sake pouring skills a little too much, girl.
I should obey your orders just because you served me some inconsequential sake.
Exactly, that's what I just said.
I seem to recall, that's not a geisha's only job.
Now that's not what you said earlier. My rant was interrupted by a deep rumble, and I was startled to realize Kazama was laughing.
I was simply teasing. You flare up too quickly.
Then...
To allow these worms to attempt to kill the Shinsengumi, it's annoying. I will take care of it.
Wow. Thank you, future fiancé. Really?
A demon never breaks a promise he has made. Enough of that. Do you have any intention of coming away from here with me tonight? Just like that, of course.
There really would. What are you talking about? They won't let me leave Shimbatta dressed like this. Everyone knows geisha are strictly forbidden outside the city.
Whatever you say, you will be mine eventually. I'm satisfied today with getting a glimpse of what I will have in the near future. Why are you just sitting there? My sake cup is empty. Give me more.
Yes. I'd like to give you more than just sake. Would he really stop those men from carrying through with their plot? Yes, he keeps his word, remember? I had to make sure to tell Hijikata about this when I got out of this place. Yeah, it was taking him so long anyway. Not that I mind, since I'm having a lovely time with Kazama, but still. A few days later, and Hijikata still never came! The suspicious group of warriors that congregated in Shimbatta near the Sumi nearly every day suddenly and silently disappeared. Did he kill them? I had no idea what happened. I had a feeling Kazama had something to do with it, though. You think? Thank you so much for taking care of me. I'm sure I speak for the Shinsengumi as well. You've been a great help. My job was done. Dressed again in men's clothes, I bowed deeply to Sen and Kimikiku. Oh, don't be so formal. We are good friends, correct? It saddens me that I'll be unable to view you in that finery again tomorrow. You fairly glowed as a geisha. It was a wonderful look for you. When I remembered that I was going to have to spend every day as a boy again, my heart felt a little heavy. Then it couldn't be helped. That was how things had to be. I should probably be on my way now. Aww. I want to keep being a geisha. I thanked them one last time and turned to head to the big gate at the entrance. I nearly reached it when... Kazama, are you there? Hey, babe.
How boring. You already changed back.
Kazama!
Oh well, I'll savor my memory of you in that kimono until the moment I take you as my bride.
Yeah, you can dress me in something better then. His intention declared, he put his back to me and began to walk away. Wait! Come back here! I'm not done with you! His head turned to the side, and I took that as an indication that he was at least feigning attention. You were the one who stopped his men, right? You said you would, but... Don't doubt him, woman!
Must I repeat myself? Demons never break a promise once given.
Thank you. You were a big help.
If you stay with the Shinsengumi, for now you and I will be in opposition. Why do you think you're enemy?
Well, that's true, but it would be foolish to disregard the fact that you really did help us out this time. He looked at me for a few moments, a puzzled crease between his brows, as if I was a creature he'd never seen before. Eventually...
There's no need. You may pay me back with interest the day we're married.
With interest, huh? Oh, that's gonna be one hell of a night then. I'm gonna have to start doing some cardio. I already told you that will never happen.
We will meet again.
And again and again. He chuckled and slowly strolled off. I watched him go, not really seeing him. I had a feeling I now owe a favor to someone I shouldn't. Shouldn't schmuttin'. You do, and that's all that matters. Alright, well, this might be a little bit of a long video, but I'm adding Kazama Memories of Love Part 1. April 1867. Yamazaki and the protagonist head into town to get manju at Kondo's request, but while there they encounter Kazama. The two men are on the brink of an altercation when the protagonist steps in. If you both love me, you won't fight. Ah, gorgeous demons.
Female demons are rare. Now come with me.
I wish I could. But it wasn't an option at the time. Chikage Kazama. I wish the other two had routes too. He claimed to be a demon. He had a slight build, but it concealed an incredible strength. Even beyond that, though, there was almost an aura around him that said he wasn't quite human. He also said I was one of them, a demon. Was I? I didn't know what to think. Demons don't lie, or at least he doesn't. June 1865. The Shinsengumi had been given orders to escort the shogun to Nijo Castle. On the way, Kazama and his demons appeared. The Shinsengumi drove them back, but... Soon afterwards, I encountered Kazama a second time. He had appeared at the Shinsengumi headquarters in the Nishi Hongonji Temple, announced himself, and demanded entrance. Kazama claimed that my father had turned his back on the shogun and sided with the Satsuma. I wasn't sure if he was telling the truth or not. How could Kazama know about my father anyway? He has got his sources. Unfortunately, there was no way to verify any of his information, leaving me to simply turn it over in my head. But no answers came, and time moved on. Too bad they didn't have cell phones back then. April 1867. Ito and his men left the Shinsengumi to form the guardians of the imperial tomb. Good riddance. Saito and Heisuke both left with them, although we did miss those guys. The reason for the departure was the Furies, the subject of my father's research. Why was my father connected to the water of life? Unaware of my anguish, the days blended together, except for one. One very pleasant one. Memories of Love, Part 1. April 1867. Here I come, Kazama! The compound had grown rather empty since the departure of Ito and his men. There was less rice to cook, and fewer shoes sitting next to the doorway. Even their small changes tugged at my heart. I had no idea where my father was, and some days it felt as if the loneliness and helplessness would overwhelm me. The more I thought, the more depressed I became.
Yukimura, do you have a moment?
Hmm? I looked up to see Kondo standing over me. Oh, I'm sorry. I was daydreaming, I guess.
Oh no, you needn't worry yourself. You look rather tired. I only meant to say hello. You do seem in poor spirits, though. Is everything all right?
Not really. Oh, yes, I'm fine. I forced a smile onto my face. I did have a great deal to worry about. Heisuke, Saito, the Furies, my father, and Kazama. But Kondo and the Shinsengumi had enough to deal with without my problems.
I see.
He looked at me for a moment, apparently lost in thought.
Ah, yes. Do you think you might do me a favor?
Depends on what it is. Sure, of course. I'd be happy to.
There is a store nearby called Iwatoya. I hear the manju is to die for. What do you think? Would you be willing to go and buy me some?
Of course, but I'm not allowed to leave the compound on my own.
Oh, yes, I'd forgotten.
Well, he's the boss. He can say you can go alone. Well, he'd probably better just send a bodyguard. Kondo glanced around, and his face lit up when just the man he had likely been looking for appeared around the corner. Ah, what luck.
Ah, Toshi, do you have a moment?
No, he doesn't. He's not the one that was listed in the description.
What is it? A little busy right now. Can it wait? This won't take long. I was hoping to send Yukimura on a short errand. Are any of the men available to chaperone her? Shinpachi's training the troops. Heisuke's not around.
Yeah, we already know that part.
Yamazaki's off duty right now. Ask him.
Shouldn't you just command him? As it turned out, getting approval to go out was surprisingly easy. Just gotta ask the right people. When they're in the right mood. Before long, Yamazaki and I were on our way into the city. Sorry for the trouble.
It's no trouble. I had nothing else pressing to do, and no reason not to do what the commander asked me to do.
It had been a long time since I'd been in the city for any reason other than accompanying the men on their rounds. Without the Shinsengumi, I was just another citizen. For the first time in a long while, I could relax and enjoy the city.
So, we're here to get manju.
Yes, Kondo says this place makes some that's really good. Although apparently that's common knowledge, so they run out really quick. We better hurry then. I appreciated Kondo's effort, but even I could see that sending someone other than me would have been far easier. He really wanted to give me a chance to go out, huh? It looked as though I wasn't as adept at hiding my feelings as I'd hoped. I need to work on that. I don't want them worrying about me. I mumbled to myself as we walked, and if Yamazaki heard, he didn't say anything. Phew! I could feel the warmth of the freshly made manju through the box. Kondo would be happy to get them. Yay, glad we got there in time. When I thought about how he'd react, I felt a smile slip across my mouth.
Is something wrong? If you're finished, we should head back.
Yeah, we haven't run into Kazama yet. Oh, right. What were we doing, just standing around? He nodded and began to walk, and I trotted along behind him. When? The sun was inching toward the horizon, pushing our shadows out further and further. The sun looks kind of strange today. Strange? It was huge and shimmering, and the evening air had turned it to a shade of red that looked almost like blood. He sees him, doesn't he? Suddenly, Yamazaki stopped. What's wrong? He sees a really hot blonde guy.
Get behind me.
Then I saw him walking down the street toward us, and the hustle and bustle seemed to just fall away. Everyone stepped out of his way without so much as a word, even men with swords tied prominently on their hips. You! What kind of a greeting is that? You!
How unexpected.
But pleasant, right?
Chikage Kazama, what are you doing here? Couldn't I ask you the same thing? And then again, I suppose the shogunate's dogs do have to mark their territory from time to time.
Well, we kind of live around here. We don't know exactly where you live, Kazama, but we haven't seen you very often around here.
Nonetheless, I'm surprised to see you allow the bird out of her cage. Tell me, why is she here?
He didn't even bother to rest a hand on his sword as he approached. Yamazaki slipped a hand into his pocket, and Kazama grinned.
Really? Surely you don't think you have something hidden in there that might allow you to defeat me? Would you like to find out?
Yamazaki, wait! There are too many people here! I could see several families on the street, their children laughing and playing around their ankles. Yamazaki's eyes flicked back and forth, taking in everything. When he spoke, it was a voice so low that only I could hear.
Yukimura, you need to run. I'll deal with him.
But... There's no need for that, I don't think. Kazama doesn't usually just do things on the spur of the moment, on a whim. Kazama wasn't just another angry ronin. He had fought the entire Shinsengumi to a standstill and then walked away. Yamazaki was skilled to be certain, but the odds were not in his favor. What could I do about Kazama? Talk to him. Reason with him. Why are you here? Was it really only coincidence, or was there some other purpose for his presence? Until we knew his intentions, it seemed premature to decide whether to fight or flee. Exactly. Don't be hasty. His eyes narrowed.
You think a polite question is enough to wring secrets from me?
Well, okay, we only need to know exactly what you're doing. We just need to know if you're here to cause trouble for us or not. His words were harsh, but his tone made it sound almost as if he was enjoying himself. He smiled.
You clearly consider me an enemy, and yet you question me and expect me to answer. I can't decide if you're brave or insane.
Maybe a little both.
Stop messing around. Either tell us your purpose here or don't.
I think he won't.
My purpose.
I don't think you're just out for a walk. Tell us why you're here, or else. Or else what, Yamazaki? Any normal person would have withered under Yamazaki's glare, but Kazama simply shrugged.
Or else? I suppose when all you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. Have you considered that I am here merely by coincidence?
I have. What do you mean?
I imagine that might be hard for you to believe. And then again, I care very little whether you believe me or not.
Yamazaki and I looked at one another, confused. It wasn't the answer we'd expected, but it didn't seem like Kazama was lying. Then, where are you going?
Sake.
Want me to pour it for you again?
I was bored, so I came into the city to have a drink. Is that enough, or shall I elaborate on my sake preferences?
Sure, tell me all about it. I'd love to hear more about you. He let out a short laugh.
Is something wrong? Is it so hard for you to believe that I drink?
No, I did pour some for you before after all. I watched you drink.
Do you think we are monsters who subsist entirely on human blood?
Well, no, but... I'd only ever seen Kazama on the battlefield before. No, you haven't. You saw him at the Sumi. In my mind, he was inextricably connected to the din of battle and the stench of blood. To think of a creature like that going and sitting down at a bar with normal human beings to have a drink. It was next to impossible to imagine.
You're welcome to follow and observe if you don't believe me. I might even allow you to pour me a drink.
Are we totally forgetting what happened before? No, thank you. I don't think I want to do that. Oh, come on, Chizuru.
Siding with this filth again. I fail to see the appeal. Why would you choose to associate with such crude animals?
I felt my hands tighten into fists. No. His eyes there, he just looked like, what the heck? They're not crude, and they're not animals. Other people might not understand, but they're samurai, and they take pride in what they do.
Pride? Did you just say pride?
Yes, I said pride. Something in your ears?
So they turn themselves into corrupted shadows of demons to cover their own inadequacies and call that pride.
Well, it was a somewhat roundabout way to refer to the Furies, but it was easy to see his point. The water of life granted a great deal of power, but in exchange it drove those who used it mad with bloodlust. I had no decent rebuttal. Well, they're not all Furies.
Don't let him get to you. He just enjoys shaking you up.
But who am I to deny him his fun?
We have nothing more to say to you. If you're really just here to drink, why don't you move along? I can't imagine stirring up trouble here would benefit you any more than us. Oh, do you now? You think that concern for this human rabble would play even a minuscule part in my decision?
His eyes narrowed to predatory slits. Yamazaki only shook his head.
I hear you joined forces with the Satsuma.
No doubt you'll slaughter all these people without a second thought. But the Satsuma domain might not look so favorably on that sort of thing. Am I right?
You think you're pretty clever, don't you?
Yeah, I don't think he'd really care so much about the Satsuma, what they thought of what he did here. He'd be like, deal with it or fire me. I don't really want to work for you guys anyway. For a long, nervous moment, they glared at one another. Eventually, it was Kazama who backed away. Wow.
Fine. This is only happenstance to begin with. If I had wanted to attack the Shinsengumi, I would not have been wandering the street hoping to find you. You may go about your business. This time.
With a cold smile, he turned to walk away. Huh? Where are you going? He just told you to go drink. I couldn't shake the feeling that it had all been too easy. Just don't look a gift horse in the mouth, Chizuru. Kazama only sighed.
Were you even listening? I'm on my way to have a drink.
Do I have a short-term memory problem?
We demons eat, drink, sleep, and all other sorts of things. As do you.
What?
If you were to join us, you would understand that, whether you wanted to or not.
Then he was gone into the crowd. I just stood there, his words echoing through my mind. I need to tell the commander about what happened.
You should get back to your room. Don't leave unless someone's with you.
Okay, thank you. I turned and headed toward Kondo's room. Why am I going to Kondo's room? Oh, that's right, I've got that stuff to deliver to him. Sorry, Yamazaki, I'm disobeying you right away. The manju was cold by the time I got there. Aww. Sorry, Kondo. Even after returning to my room, Kazama's words rang in my ears. We demons eat, drink, sleep, and all other sorts of things, as do you. A demon. That was what he called himself, but he looked no different from any other normal human. Did he go back to a home of his town? What did he do there? Was his a pleasant life? A peaceful one? They make it sound like it. It had to be more peaceful than the life the Shinsengumi led. I still want to be here, though, even if I'm not very helpful. To join Kazama and the demons would be to admit that I was a demon myself, and that prospect frightened me. Besides, I'd grown fond of the Shinsengumi. I wanted more than anything else to stay with them and help them realize their dreams. But can I help them, or am I just getting in their way and holding them back? I crawled into bed. As I closed my eyes, I prayed that when I wake, the pain in my heart would be gone. Man, even with just this first video, I feel like we got more material with Kazama than we did in his own route. Well, no, that's not true, because I got 4 videos out of him. We should be getting, 6 out of this, something like that. Well, tomorrow will be Memories of Love 2 and 3 with him. So, hope to see you there or in some of my other videos. And I'd be so grateful for any likes, comments, subscriptions, or shares with your friends to show some support. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you all health, happiness, and safety. Dirili signing out. Bye-bye, everybody.